Well, hey, nerds, welcome to our second episode of Just No Script, talking about games careers. I'm John Wolheim, and I am, of many things, so excited to be joined by the one and only Alex Gombos and the singularly amazing Lizzie Mintus. We don't have a script today, folks. We are just going to be going based on your questions. So let's just jump right over. I'm just going to throw the intro right to Alex and then to Lizzie, and then we're going to start taking questions.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Good day. I know it's good morning for us. Those who it is morning, I hope you have your cup of coffee. I am Alex Gombos. I'm a games recruiter. I am ex-PlayStation. I am the number 3 top games voice and a top recruiting voice on LinkedIn. So nice to be here with you.
Hi, excited to be with you all. I'm Lizzie Mintus. I'm the CEO and founder of Here's Waldo Recruiting. We are a boutique recruiting firm that focuses on the game industry. And I have a podcast called the Here's Waldo Podcast. There are a few episodes with career advice, like one from Sonia Michaels. So check it out.
You will find the link to Here's Waldo right there. Bing, bing, bing. So you can scan that and head right over to the podcast if you feel so inclined. Not to add too many things to the screen, but you could also go right there to find Alex Gombos' LinkedIn page. So you can ask Alex anything. Mostly about games careers, but
Most things.
Yeah, great places to buy amazing t-shirts.
What I will answer is
Just how to be
mostly about
generally
games career.
What was I giving you?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So we are ready to go as chat is starting to come in here. We have Wendy Prantner, unsurprisingly, our first guest, our most consistent here. Wendy, thank you for letting us know your coffee is refilled and you are ready. That implies at least one additional cup beyond what you currently have. So this might be a high energy chat here today. As we're getting going, probably good for us to plug a couple of fun things while chat's starting to warm up. First and foremost, I think we're all going to do something pretty fun next week. And what is that thing? Anybody want to share what that thing is?
Games Beat in Los Angeles.
You know, I actually forgot they gave us a code for people to get a discount on that. So if one of y'all want to share what that is, I'm going to throw that code up on the screen so that we can help people find their way there.
Yes, I believe it is 25% off of your pass. So if you haven't gotten it already, please do so. We will all be there and we can't wait to see you.
GamesBeat is one of my favorite events. I'm really excited to listen to Will, who created The Sims and is creating the most wild new game and sharing about it.
It's actually going to it'll be my first Games Beat, so I'm super duper excited.
Huge. And I am copying that link right now. Great news. They actually upgraded us to 40% off with this coupon code. So thank you to the amazing team at GamesBeat. This is the GamesBeat Summit, otherwise known as GBS. It's in LA, I think Santa Monica, Marina area. And give that a scan, throw in that code that you see on the screen right there, and enjoy that 40% off. Woot woot. And you get to come and see awesome people like Lizzie, like Alex, like Amir, like Justin, like so many other of these voices that you hear so often, and yet somehow not often enough in many cases. So I'll leave that. I'll flash that code a couple of times, including at the very end too, if anybody would like to join again. One other thing to shout out here that I'm really excited about is, so you may have seen Alex Gombos posting about the Games for Love and Nerd Gear collab for the donation drive. Thank you, Alex. Right here on this call, I'm so excited to say this. For your post, generated enough money raised through that donation drive by purchasing nerdy shirts like the one that you see right here. You see that we actually raised enough to help 1,000 kids in the next year, just based upon what Alex raised in the first hour of her post alone, which is just absolutely incredible. Now we're up into the 20,000 kids helped range. And so if you would like to be part of that, let's throw that on right here.
Yes.
You'll see that in the top left is my shirt I'm wearing right now. And here's an even easier one to scan down. That's all over. The screen is now lousy with links. If you follow that one right there, you can come. Every single purchase, all the proceeds go completely to Games for Love, which helps kids in hospitals replace pain with play.
And if you haven't gone to that website yet, you absolutely need to. These shirts are fantastic. You are going to lose your mind. So that's it. That's all I got to say.
I got to flash the QR code one more time with that
One
statement.
more time.
That statement. Thank you so much, Alex, for your incredible support of Games for Love. As always, you are amazing. Okay. We've got Wendy saying, yes, that is me. I am definitely high energy. And okay. Our first big question comes from Andreas Aganthagelo. Hi, I'm going to be graduating this September as a technical artist. What is the best way to stand out, and how can I best approach people, specifically other technical artists, to get feedback on my work? Ooh, we've never seen a question like that one before.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I will start by, of course, saying that I always start with the folks that I know. So if I was going to be graduating and I'm a student, I would start with my teachers and professors. I would ask them if there's anyone in the industry that aligns with my skill set or background, me wanting to get into technical artists that they can introduce me to. From there, I'd be very specific as far as what kind of feedback I'm looking for when it comes to portfolio. Really, again, like we talk about LinkedIn and network, if there's anyone that you see on LinkedIn within the technical artist role, and feel free to ask them, exactly what you're asking us. Hey, this is my reel. I'm looking for feedback. Is there anything that you can provide me? And then, of course, Lizzie, I'm sure you can talk about meeting folks and, in-person events as well when it comes to networking.
Yes, networking is the best. I love asking for feedback, and the way that you phrased it is perfect because it's really direct and gets to the point. So that's the best. To stand out, I think that you could do fan art for a game that you really like or for the company that you want to work for. That'd be cool. That's going above and beyond. You can approach people just like Alex said in real life. You could do a global game jam. I think making a game and contributing and having a portfolio and just trying it is great. And like Alex said, asking for feedback from those around you in your trusted circle. And then you could put stuff up at ArtStation. I think there's contests you can enter, right, Alex? What's the art contest that for
The rookies?
The rookies. You should enter
The rookies. Yes. Good one. Good one.
John can link that.
Test my link grabbing skills. That's, the concept of making the game, Lizzie, is such a powerful one. And it's one that has come up on a couple of calls like this recently. And someone who was very technical, and I'm not sure if they would be comfortable with me sharing that they shared this. So I'm just going to anonymize them very completely and say they had shared that sometimes when you're creating, whether it's art or even a game mechanic, you could be creating that next big thing, because sometimes even the way like a weapon is reloaded or an inventory is sorted can be defining for a genre. And that's how apparently certain dungeon crawlers like Diablo came along, is that somebody created something small that plugged into something big and it became huge. And that can happen in a game jam. You never know who's watching. Phil Spencer could be, you guys on Twitch all day long. He could be just watching right now and say, oh, we need that for Xbox.
Some of the games, some of Valve's best games came from people that just graduated DigiPen. I listened to an exec at Valve speak at an event this week. And that's what he said. They were so impressed with the game that they hired them right away, right out of school. So you don't know you just have to put yourself out there, create stuff, and go places and show people the stuff that you create.
Andreas says, thank you so much for answering my question. Very happy to be here. Thank you, Andreas. Appreciate you. Let's see. We've got Joel Velez. Welcome back, Joel. What would be your biggest tips and advice on how to show up effectively for early career professionals who are attending a huge gaming conference like GDC for the first time, especially in this niche market? Hire an entourage. Yeah, pay people to follow you. I'm just kidding. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Get a hype person.
Is this Joel? Have you seen Joel?
Is that Joel Velez? I think that was Joel Velez. Did you get a picture with him?
Oh, good stuff. Oh, Amir's here. Sorry, I know that's not answering the question, but hello, Amir.
Hi, Amir. Thanks for being here. A huge gaming conference.
Oh, how does
I would put the soon GDC thing on LinkedIn so people know you're going to be there. Post about it. Then I think I would go, what's the website? There's a website that lists all the events at GDC that you can go to. And GDC is incredible and there's so much networking, and I'm the most extroverted person of all time. My parents would take me places to talk to people for them as a kid because they were introverted. So I love it, but even GDC drains me. So I would say make a plan of all the events you can go to, reach out and try and schedule with people. But here's the key, and here's the thing I don't even do well. Schedule time for yourself to have lunch and use the bathroom and do basic human needs in all of that networking time because it's really easy to do a lot of things back to back.
I think showing up with purpose too and having some sort of a plan. Yeah, the extroversion thing, I like to call myself an introverted extrovert where like my cup will run dry really quick because but where am I going to put the time for myself so the next day I can show up again with purpose. What I mean by with purpose is, going to the different events or the different speaker events and knowing that if you do meet someone that is an early career professional, know what your elevator speech is going to be or your elevator pitch, know what you want to talk to them about, know how you want to kind of sell yourself for what you would, because you're only going to have a minute, like few minutes of time to talk with them. And you want to make sure that it is valuable time and then connect with them and feel free to follow up. The more that they hear your name, see your name, and again, in a very respectful, professional manner, the more they're going to remember you.
Make the LinkedIn QR code to connect with you your background on your phone too.
Oh yeah, smart.
Lizzie, one thing that we found that we really enjoyed with Games for Love is for our charity streamers, and we're still about 90% funded by charity streamers at Games for Love, which we hold near and dear to our hearts, which we'll have to let go of at some point when we have larger corporate donations. But in the meantime, for our streamers at TwitchCon, we actually took NFC, near field communication chips, which are about 1 cent each on Amazon, and you can program them with your phone so that people can just tap them right on your name badge. And we did that for all of our streamers, and it was a 1 cent way to create kind of a big wow moment for folks. Especially in a lot of ways, we're all content creators, whether we're creating videos on LinkedIn or we're creating our careers. And sometimes those like what seems like a silly little moment can really leave a lasting impression for folks. And you can buy those for near zero on Amazon or on Alibaba.
That's true, and I think Desiree brought her dog, right? Her dog was a huge hit. And you don't have to
bring your dog
bring
to
your dog,
everything.
but last night I was with a guy who had this really cool Nintendo shirt on. So I think there are things you can do to, be comfortable, be yourself, but also stand out a little bit if that's something you're comfortable with.
Was the person wearing the cool Nintendo shirt named Amir Sefat? Because
no,
like
but he does have a lot of cool shirts and even cooler shirts with Games for Love.
I've heard Amir's dad wears some pretty cool shirts too, actually. And Amir, to answer your question, yes, the background to this conversation is very late. We are coming to you live from the Mario Castle in Mario 64, the OG. Yep. So get used to being confused running around this place when you're 8 years old and trying to understand how physics works.
So good.
Okay, we've got a big question from Evan here, and this is a really interesting one. As a content creator on YouTube with little professional experience by working for a gaming company, what would be the best way to transition into a more qualified, other than an entry-level role, or even an entry-level role, I should say? Wow, from creator to actual career. Big question.
What kind of career do you want at the company?
Yeah, that was my question. Content creator. I'm wondering, if you're creating content on YouTube with little professional experience, I'm wondering if the content is like game specific. And so if a good foot in the door would be the game tester QA, or if,
Yeah.
I feel like I'd like a little bit more information, but that's a good one. I can at least tell you from my previous experience that there is definitely a career path within QA. A lot of the associate and junior level, so not internship, but associate level roles, a lot would be like associate artist or associate producer, associate animator. A lot of those folks I would specifically pull from QA, and I had connections and relationships with the QA managers. And so I would kind of know who was interested in what department. And then when a role would open, I would directly reach out to those managers and say, hey, can you share this, new junior animator posting with your teams? And then have them reach out to me directly. So that way we can give them a leg up, and, the whole purpose of them wanting to take that next step outside of QA.
QA is a great way to do it. The guy who created Uggs spoke last week, and he said you have to get really comfortable being a tadpole, which I liked, because you're not going to be a frog right away. And so I think doing QA, tadpoling for, I'm disappearing. This Mario game is a trip. Get comfortable doing an entry level role. And I know to get the entry level role is like the chicken and the egg thing, and people have issues with that. But finding a mentor and make the most kick-ass, I think we can swear, this is a safe game space, make an amazing content creation reel or portfolio or whatever you can do to show that you love this and you're dedicated.
You know what else is, if you have a YouTube channel and a following, if they don't know that you want to transition into games, then tell them, because guess who may have some connection into games? Someone that follows you.
And also, I don't know if you cross post your YouTube content on LinkedIn, but that might be great too. And then make a little LinkedIn video sharing about what you're looking for. I think video
You can use tools like Repurpose.io and others to make that a lot easier, so the content creation piece isn't as much of the issue. Boy, there are incredible teams that are sort of subsets of the marketing groups at some of these larger companies that have incredible latitude. They can do crazy cool stuff without layers and layers of bureaucratic approval, because the social media space is still the Wild West in a lot of cases. And that's kind of a cool thing to be part of. So create that content, tag those companies, make sure they know you're interested, and who knows, right?
And you have 100,000 subscribers. Shout out to Evan. Follow him. He put his YouTube in the comments.
Be 100,001.
Yeah.
Okay, Mauricio makes a quick comment about, I'm sure Amir Safet has several clones of himself. I can't seem to figure out how he finds time to be able to do so much the game community and work and be with his family and play games and join our LinkedIn Live. Yes, Amir was
I have the same question.
Right, a government cloning program. Yep, it's very successful. Thank you, Amir. Number 48, who's the one present today, by the way. Really appreciate that. Okay, this is a big question that's not even going to fit on screen. I'll try to summarize this a little bit. Hi, all. I'm a programmer based in Latin America, with 10 years of experience in various areas of tech. Although I do not have prior experience in the games industry, it has always been my dream to work in this field. Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity or knowledge to start. I'd love to receive guidance on how I could break into the game industry. So this is what you might call a senior tech person wanting to move into the game industry with zero experience.
So, as a recruiter, my first question would be, are your programming skills and languages aligned with the ones that are used in the games industry or the studio that you want to work for? Would be my baseline question. And if the answer is no, then there's number one homework assignment.
Yeah, just like Alex said, I'd think about what the role is that you want and what the requirements are for that role and the things you don't know already. Let's say you want to work for a studio that works in Unreal. You're going to need to learn Unreal on your own time. And then you're going to need to create something in Unreal yourself that shows that you can do it. So I think using GitHub is a great way. How can you show people that this is like all my advice or all of my 2 cents. Like, what can you do to stand out? What can you do to make effort to show that you can do the job that you're applying for already and that you went out of your way to do even more?
You know what though? We may continue to say that over and over again, but that's super sage advice. I mean, when you look at my career path at my prior company, what I can tell you is that I was doing the role in some aspect prior to getting promoted or getting that next level of that position. Like when I position, I was acting in one way or another as a lead, right? So I was mentoring people. There were dotted lines of responsibility as far as like I wasn't directly managing those people, but I was managing their day to day. And so when I interviewed for the position, when I got the position, they're like, "Oh, well, Alex has already been doing pieces of this, so we have the confidence that she can do it in an official manner." So, I mean, honestly, Lizzie, everything that you're saying is spot on because like the proof is in the pudding. That's how it works.
I think a lot of people feel frustrated when the proof is not in the pudding. When I interviewed for my recruiting job, first of all, the first time I interviewed, I got rejected because they asked me why I wanted to work there. And I said, because I'm a millennial and I get tech. And that was not a good answer. But I convinced them to re-interview me. And I came and I had a sheet and I had all of the programming languages written out and their definitions and what kind of engineers might use them. And that is just going above and beyond. I did all my research. I was very serious about it. Although in recruiting, you can't really prove you can recruit. It's really about talking to people. But if you're, looking for a career where you can showcase the thing that you've done, showcase it.
And I hate it, but be comfortable with failing, knowing that like today's no is just a future yes. Like, and it's not going to happen right away. Super frustrating, I know, but it's, it happens.
It might be only the first half of the conversation to get to that role.
Yeah.
Going to quickly flash up here on the screen. You're going to see Evan Flarka shared the link to his portfolio. Thank you, Evan, for being here with us today. If anyone would like to follow that, I just checked out his channel. Solid stuff. And I do love a Marvel channel. So if you love them as well, please join us over there. We have some really great questions, including, so first we've got one from Wendy. I want to jump over to there. And then I want to jump over to this question from Alexis, which has gotten multiple shout outs as a question that is really resonating with folks. First, Wendy wanted to ask sort of a quick validator. In wanting more skill points in gaming, nice reference, I'm always looking for betas to be a part of or to play test in some capacity. Is that a good plan? This is a nice, like, quick segue question for us.
Yes, Wendy, that's the best.
Yeah, yes, hard yes.
What a great way to give back to the community, being more informed about the industry on your own time and show that you care. That's incredible. Keep it up.
Yeah. Building it from the inside. Great call out, Wendy. Okay, so Alexis, this is a big question. I'm a 3D modeler with nearly 6 years of experience in film and TV. I want to jump into the video game industry, but I can't land an interview. What do I need to show off in my reel to stand out and prove I can do video game modeling? We must have a very creatively focused audience today because we've got a lot of questions that sound a lot like this one.
Film and TV. I mean, I'm going to steal what Lizzie says a lot, and that's just, I mean, do some 3D modeling with fan art of the studio that you want to apply to. Do some personal projects that align with the gaming industry. What I can say is that during my time as a games recruiter, I have brought over a lot of folks from film and TV into games. Now, it's not a one-to-one match. It's a very close match. So I know this isn't your question, but my advice would also be to be open in taking a slight step back in title and potential salary, because the video game production cycle is a lot longer than television and film. And so the pay scale is a little bit different. But if you're very serious about it, in addition to updating your portfolio with more game specific pieces, just be flexible with title so that you can learn on the job. And if you're a senior now, right, with 6 years experience, you will get to that point. It's just not a one-to-one exact match from film and TV to games.
I agree. And I think the other thing to remember, especially right now, I was chatting with someone yesterday. They said they used to have 4 applicants and now they have 400. So there are a lot of applicants. And if there is any doubt as to why you might be applying for the job, if it is not crystal clear, especially if you're jumping from something that is not, if you are already in doing video game modeling and you're applying for a video game modeling job, that's very clear. But if you're coming from film and want to get into games, if there's any transitional piece that the recruiter does not see instantly, because they have so many applicants, unfortunately, it might go into auto reject. It might not even get looked at. So be very clear about the fact that you know that you are not in the game industry and what you have done to be in the game industry and prepare yourself.
That's the perfect cover letter. A nice, short and sweet cover letter. Yep. Love
That
it.
is personalized. No, dear hiring manager. That is I think if you're a candidate, someone just wrote me that they were appalled that the company said, "Dear candidate, you have been rejected." Same thing. So no one likes that.
So we have a follow-on question that might be a perfect segue here, and it's actually about cover letters, interestingly enough. Hello, love the AMA. My question is a two-parter. Is it true that cover letters never get read? And 2, I keep getting passed up for jobs I know I can do. What can I do to stand out more? I'm a community manager, for context. Thank you for giving the context there, Christopher. The very first part would have been, well, depends on what you do.
Yeah.
The question about cover letters is one that I love talking about because there's no perfect answer. I'm excited to weigh in at the end on this one. What do y'all recruiting pros think about this one?
Well, you're a recruiting pro too. What do you think, John?
I think that cover letters are they what they used to be? Mandatory? No. I don't. I think at one point, not having a cover letter was basically like not even submitting something because there was the check whether or not it was there or not. And it basically said, did this person go above and beyond? Even though the above and beyond is like the expected, right? So I think it's not that anymore. But I think that now a cover letter is an opportunity to differentiate. And it is a way for you to not only leverage SEO and ATS, search engine optimization, and applicant tracking system performance optimization, in that many of these systems like Lever, Greenhouse, Workday, many of them are now actually integrating what's said in your cover letter into your overall candidate score. And so this is your ability to add more words that express algorithmically that you are a good fit for the role. And so I think that if you're an innate perfect fit for a role and your resume already reads like the perfect text for that, well, then the cover letter might not be necessary. But if you aren't getting the results that you're looking for, as it sounds like, Christopher, you might not be, I would definitely encourage you to consider looking into writing cover letters using tools like SkillSyncer, possibly leveraging GPT-4o, and starting to find different ways to phrase what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a good point. I would say to answer, is it true that cover letters never get read? It's not true, but we only spend, as recruiters, right? We can only spend a certain amount of time per applicant. Cover letter is a chapter book. I hate to say it, I'm not going to read it because I just don't have the time to read it. If it's a succinct cover letter, or your resume. Yeah, 100%, right? Like 1 to 2 pages at max. And a 2-page resume should be someone who has 10 extensive experience. But if you have a very succinct, to the point cover letter that is a couple of paragraphs, and again, is giving me information as a recruiter, either you're trying to get into a new industry, you're a community manager for one type of company, but you're interested in another type of company or industry, or you're getting passed up for jobs that you know you can do, then tell me, explain to me and make it clear to me how that you can do this job. And so I'm reading through that cover letter, going to your resume, and it'll click for me. I can say though too, again, as a community manager, especially in this market with a lot of candidates, really be looking for someone who has done community management for the type of game or the type of studio that they are. So make it clear that you've done that in the past.
Yes. If you're a community manager, maybe you can get involved in the community that you want to be a part of. I had a community manager, Val, on my podcast, and I learned a lot about community management. But she said, if you're a community manager, you really know the top people in your community. So I think you could engage if you play the game a lot and show that you care that way. And then with regards to cover letters, exactly what Alex and John said, but you can also apply, find the hiring manager, send a really kind personal note on LinkedIn, and try and connect with people on the team. That might be the new cover letter, and share a compelling message, not I need a job, right? Or anything, but like, hey, I like, maybe you worked on a game they worked on, or maybe there's something you can say to them that's very, just make a personal message about why it's you.
So well said. And we've touched on cover letters, we've touched on mentoring. There's a certain community out there, Amir Sadfat's Career Jobs Resources, in fact, or Games Jobs Resources, that is. You'll see the QR code on the screen right now. This is a place to go where you'll find everybody on this call and hundreds more who are mentoring, giving interview feedback, giving coaching, even resume reviews for free, all as volunteers. Yeah. So throw a scan on that code right there. Go and visit amirsatbat.com. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 11, now possibly 12 individual resources from early career all the way up through mentoring, if you want to be a mentor, that is. So come and join us. We're having a ton of fun and trying to help every way that we can for free, $0. So if you're looking for a job, this is a place to go, not to get that job, like to get paid to do it, because we're all volunteers. So come on down.
And selfish plug, shameless plug, my interview preparation packet is actually hosted on Amir's website. So if you do have an upcoming interview and you want to prepare, I promise you need to check that resource out. Oh, 15 resources now. We're like the blob. Amir. Either way, check it out, because mine is just one of 15 amazing resources.
Full disclaimer, though, Amir does mention, please only come if you love Wind Waker HD. So if you have mixed feelings, just kidding. You should definitely come no matter what. Do you do CV reviews? We do, over at that community right there, at this very same one that we were just flashing on the screen. I'll do it one more time, just in case anyone's like, oh, really? You do that too? Well, yeah, we do. So come on down. Okay, chat. We've given chat plenty of time to come up with more questions, and they have delivered. So, yes, we have a question from a recruiter, I think, here. Oh, no, I see. So this is great. This is another very long one, so I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. As recruiters in the industry in so much turmoil at this moment, how would you reassure people, especially students, that it's still a career option and to persevere? I'm a recruiter here in the UK, and I have a lot of people reaching out and asking me for advice. I was made redundant. Sorry to hear that, Helen, from a studio in November, and just made it back inside the industry myself. So I totally understand the trepidation and want to reassure, but it is hard right now. Ooh, motivational speech. Let's go.
I'm not really
Captain America
kind of person. So I think it's really important. Like when you're recruiting for a job, here's what the job is. You might work long hours, or here's, here are the elephants in the room. Here are the things you might not like ahead of time. So the recruiting industry is very up and down, and I think that's important to highlight. But if you really want to do it, you can find a way. So I think it's just about listening to whatever the person wants to do. And if it's games, then there are a lot of resources like Amir's list and so many that we have listed, and there's so many people that can help. So I think letting them go on that self-discovery journey is important.
Yeah. And I think that with so much turmoil at the moment, and yes, we're feeling it in games, but it's not just games. I know someone in tech, I know someone in finance and banking who were laid off, right? Same as you, Helen. And I'm so stoked that you found something, but laid off in November and just finally started a new gig, a new position now in May. And so at the end of the day, it was funny because I was talking to my aunt about this a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, well, now it may be time to pivot your career. And I'm like, but I love what I do, and so I'm willing to weather the storm. And that is just the personal preference that I've made. I don't want to start over in a new career. I would like to try and prioritize staying in the gaming industry. And just like Lizzie said, it's just a realistic preview of kind of what life may hand at you. And you can get caught up in any position and in any industry. I mean, this is just kind of the ebb and flow of working sometimes.
And it's not even, people said big companies were stable for a really long time, but there have been so many big company layoffs. So you're never really safe. I think it's just about what can you do to level yourself up. I did a LinkedIn Live with a wonderful guy named Bernie Yee, and he said he keeps a little diary and he writes down whenever he has a big accomplishment during his workday. And then he keeps that because when he interviews, and even if he's having a bad day, he'll go look at everything that he's done. So I think that's a great thing you can do to keep yourself ready to go in case anything happens. What can you do to keep everything up to date? So if anything does happen, you can transition to the best of your ability.
I call that my run. Yeah, that running document. It's called Alex's Accomplishments. It's saved on my desktop.
That's awesome.
Alex's awesome accomplishments. AAA.
There we go. Another AAA.
We have the gift of some really tactical questions, which I think is great because we've talked a lot about big theory. We've talked a lot about philosophy. And now we get to actually answer a couple of questions that are very much, how do I X, right? Which buttons do I click as opposed to how do I think about buttons? And on that journey to there, I would make one recommendation, and that is, gosh, in the past 25,000 years that I've been working, it has been one consistent thing I've noticed is that there is this big ebb and flow. And as much as I wish that we belonged to a world where we were simply just measured on our worth and it was inherently just known, a lot of times it's on us to make sure the world knows what we can do. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave that to the universe to decide. But in the meantime, I keep a brag book. And at the end of any given day, I'll take about 5 minutes and I'll write down two to three things that were really meaningful that happened that day. Whether it was on the way to something, whether it was something that I learned, oftentimes the hard way, or if it's something that I want to make sure I remember, like some really excellent accomplishment, like in Alex's accomplishments, my own version of that. And then in a professional setting, that is so important because if you're in a company, you're going to write your own review one day. And that day is probably going to come sooner than later. Many companies do quarterly reviews now. And if you're one of those folks that's like, I'm sure my boss knows all the amazing things that I've done. I'm the only person that works here. So they've got all the time in the world to document and remember all of my amazing accomplishments. They don't at all. So if you do that, you will 100% be further ahead than you would have been otherwise. And you'll have a better positive remembrance of what you've done, which is so powerful. And then, of course, there's your resume in case this isn't where you want to be forever. So that's important. Okay, let's jump over to one of these really tactical questions. I'm really excited. Oh, you know what? It was so far ago that now I have to go back and find it. Okay, this is a great one asked by Rodolfo. Rodolfo asks, you've mentioned a couple of times to search for the hiring manager. Do you have any tips on how to best determine who that is, especially in larger organizations?
Yes, you're going to put on your recruiting hat. You're going to search company name and the word and then you're going to search recruiter, or you're going to search company name and then the genre. Like let's say Amazon and data scientist. And then you can find people on the team. I mean, Amazon's a massive company, so you might not be able to find it. And then sometimes the hiring manager is listed on the job itself. But I think getting in touch with the recruiter is good as well. And sending a specific note, again, not get me a job. Like, hey, I applied for XYZ. Would love to have an informational call with you.
LinkedIn also has a feature where when you click on the company page tab, and then you can on the right hand side go into more detailed search and search titles. And so again, it could be data scientist, it could be technical artist. So you can even do it directly through, but Google search might give you broader results.
Huge. I wonder if we should do an event called like How to Speak Recruiter. So many of these questions are, how do I reach out to? How do I create that connection with? And maybe we could go even to that level of almost surgical tactician sort of conversation. It looks like we may have skipped Mauricio a couple of times. It looks like the chat's like basically like, hey, Mauricio's question is a good one. So we're going to come back over to Mauricio's while we still have time. I know it was kind of an abrupt subject switch. I've been working as a UX UI designer for over 12 years within finance and banking, and I just pivoted to gaming this April. Congratulations, Mauricio. You did the thing. However, even though we learned everywhere that the gaming industry is bigger than music and movies combined, that's a long quote, I'm noticing that salaries in my area of expertise in gaming are much lower than in finance and banking. Is this just a fact? Am I aiming for the wrong studios, which are just not paying as much as the market average in general? Ooh, good question.
What's that website where you could check salary ranges by industry?
Glassdoor.
Yeah, there's Glassdoor. Is there another one?
Yeah, you can look on Blind for comp ranges, or you can go on levelsfyi.com.
I think Radford Aon just recently made a public tool available as well.
Oh, Radford's a big one.
Okay, I would love if you would share your experience of how you pivoted. I think that would be very helpful for many of our listeners.
Yeah.
Games pay less. That's a fact. But this is, again, what is your motivation? Why do you want to work in games? What do you want out of your career? Do you want to work at a certain studio? If money is the most important thing, you can evaluate that. But I think you need to find your own why first.
Good point. Good point.
We have folks calling out various tools. We've got Mauricio calling out Glassdoor. Here we have Cesar pointing out levels.fyi. And we have anonymous LinkedIn user, Fishbowl.
Oh. I didn't know about that one. Thank you, LinkedIn user.
Mauricio, I hope that helps. One thing I would call out too when it comes to compensation is cash, especially in like a smaller studio, is going to be lower because they have less of it. And by joining a smaller organization, whether it's a AI startup with you and your best friend in the garage, or you're joining Microsoft, you're going to have a compensation that's commensurate with the available resources. And if that's a lot of equity, you're making a bet. You're betting on yourself and you're betting on that organization for you to build something mutually profitable. But if it's a smaller org, you probably don't want to go there if you're going to lose your house if you miss a single mortgage payment, right? So I would strongly recommend, and that can be kind of heartbreaking because that means that sometimes money is why someone can't chase a dream. But I do think that the reality of that situation is don't change the dream, aim it differently, aim it at a different size studio. Which is why I love, Mauricio, you have the perspective to layer on the end there. So how you can tell you're a senior in your industry and a thought leader here is that you're asking, am I aiming at the wrong studios? My answer is maybe. It's possible.
But it's the right step if it is a small studio, it's the right stepping stone to get to a larger studio. You're getting that experience in games. So
be attached.
Yeah, cheers.
If you
All
can.
right, we're going to end out on Wendy Prantner. We're going to end where we began. Wendy asks an awesome question, which is it appropriate to ask recruiters for what job titles there are in their company, especially for fields like mine that can have so many varied titles, learning and development? Interesting question.
So I'm going to say a soft no. The first thing that I would do before reaching out to a recruiter is to do your own research of titles in different companies to see what you can come up with. What you can do from there is try and you can do job notifications on LinkedIn. So if a job in your industry or title or whatever pops up, you'll get notified. You can see if any of these companies are hiring for those. If you are going to reach out to the recruiter and ask for a title in their company, be very specific that you are looking for a job in their company. This is the title you have. These are the titles that you've seen in the industry, but you haven't yet seen something at XYZ company. Is there anything that you're missing? Or is there anything, is that company calling that position something different? So make it easy for the recruiter to answer your question. It could be a very quick, LinkedIn message, 5 seconds. I'm willing to answer that. But again, like Lizzie's saying, don't just, hey, I want a job. What titles should I? And I don't think you would do this, Wendy, but hey, I want a job. What titles should I be looking for, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like Alex said, titles vary so much company to company. Here are the things I've done. I'm not sure what that's called at your studio. What kind of things should I look for? And are there any that you think will become available in the next couple months? Thanks for your time. Also ended on a nice note because they're helping you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your uncompensated assistance.
Yes.
Thank you for your micro volunteering that you've engaged with today. So we are amazingly at time. 45 minutes goes by so fast. If you want 45 minutes to go by fast, jump on a call with Lizzie Mintus and Alex Gombos, and it will be a blink of an eye because it's so much fun. There's my pro tip for everybody. Speaking of which, two things. One, this is the first time we've had such a question backlog that we had zero hope of getting to all of the questions. So we've danced around and tried to select questions that sort of interlock nicely, like a Lego set, if you will. And that means that not every single question is going to be one that we can get. Here's the deal, y'all. This is why we use LinkedIn, because this is now a conversation thread. And anyone can come back to this thread in this event and watch and see as questions are asked, answered within the community, by us, by anyone. This is also the first time we've had so many amazing people sharing resources alongside those of us on screen. As it turns out, there's people that know more than us, and who knows the most? The entire community together. So that's why it's so cool that this is happening right here. So apologies if we did skip your question, especially if it was a really great one. Hint, there's a bunch of those. Please return to this thread and watch as those questions get answered by the community. And with that said, I'm going to pass it over. We started with Alex and then went to Lizzie. We're going to go to Lizzie and go to Alex for final thoughts on our call today.
Thank you all for being here. My final thought is the thing I've said all along. Figure out how you can make yourself indispensable. Figure out how you can go above and beyond and do the thing that you want to do and showcase that you can do that already before you apply.
Yeah, I love it. Be passionate in all that you do, right? I mean, if it's something that you truly want, then, take it, have that fire and bring that to the forefront and let people see that.
I'm not going to try to even compete on any level with the level of inspiration from those two comments. I'm just going to say that what they said, those amazing words of just chase your dreams, because they're there, and you can get there with the community at your back. Thank you everyone so much for being here. Please join us for what could be, who knows, maybe more of these in the future. If you'd like to see them, please let any of us know individually, make comments here, reshare. That's how we know whether this added any value for your life or not. And that's literally the whole name of the game. So thank you all for being here, and see you next time.